Today on Weenie NV, Patron Wizard. Ah, yes, Patron Wizard. Actually, one of the reasons why I really like the idea of making this series and being able to talk to you guys about specific cards was because I could show you cards you might not realize existed and give you kind of a good idea of what kind of effects you could do, what kind of games you could have by playing these strange and interesting cards. And Patron Wizard is one of those cards that you might not have known existed at all. It's kind of pricey. You have to play it in a mono blue deck. It's 3 blue mana to get out for a 2/2 creature, but its ability is so powerful. Tap and untap wizard you control, counter target spell unless its controller pays 1 colorless mana. And since the activated ability is to tap and untap wizard you control, you can use it as a cost, so the Patron Wizard can be played and immediately can tap to its own ability, even though it has summoning sickness, because it's not a tap symbol. The creature doesn't have this effect. You are paying a cost by tapping it. It's the same as if somebody were to twiddle it or innervate or any number of cards that say tap target creature. They can do that because it's not a cost from the creature. The creature is not using that ability that requires it to activate. It's convoluted and it's complicated. But Patron Wizard is a really cool card because you can play it and immediately tap it to itself for its ability to counter a target spell. And it's a target spell, not a creature spell, not an instant, not a sorcery, not an artifact, not an enchantment. You can target anything you want with Patron Wizard. You can technically also target an uncounterable spell. It won't do anything, but you could. And that's the reason why I'm bringing this card up. Patron Wizard works very, very well in a tribal deck because it requires no mana to counter spells. You just have to have a creature untapped, or enough creatures untapped. So if you can give your wizards vigilance, that's even better. The other thing that I think is pretty cool, it combines very well with other cards like Illusionist Bracers, because whenever the ability of equipped creature is activated, if it's not a mana ability, and it won't be, copy the ability and you can choose a new target. So now, if you were to equip Illusionist Bracers to the Patron Wizard, every time you tapped a wizard to use its ability, you could counter a spell unless they paid 2 mana instead. Although it's just duplicating the ability, you have a target the same spell. They'd have to pay 2 mana per wizard that you tap to keep the spell from being countered. I'm sure you're starting to get where I'm going with this, because then you can play cards like Freed from the Real. We pay 1 blue mana and untap the enchanted creature. So then it becomes for every 1 blue mana you spend, counter target spell unless they pay 2 colorless mana. So Patron Wizard in a wizard tribal deck becomes extremely powerful. It basically turns the deck into not a land destruction exactly, but it basically means your opponent never has enough mana to cast their spells. It is a control deck, and from what I've gathered, people are talking about Tiny Leaders and saying there's no real good control. And that's why I wanted to bring up this card, because you could cast it and you can immediately use it. The only thing you'd have to worry about would be something like Sudden Shock, because it has split second, so you just have to keep its toughness above 2. You could give it hexproof, you could do so many things, and you'd be able to keep your opponent from killing it off. Then you're great. You've got the game. Essentially, you've got the game in hand. So, Patron Wizard in a mono blue tribal wizards deck works great with Devotion, works great with Nykthos Shrine to Nyx. You'll always have plenty of mana, and you'll always be able to counter something because this is an ability that doesn't require you to pay anything. All you have to do is tap a creature. And yeah, you could build a deck around this type of thing. And I kind of wanted to start showing off some control Tiny Leaders deck. Hopefully, we've done 3 cards so far. We've done Urtai, we've done Stern Proctor, and now we've done Patron Wizard. Hopefully by Saturday I'll be able to show you a deck that can use these cards, but we'll see. I think I'll end the video here. Hope you're having a great, wonderful morning, wonderful afternoon, wonderful evening. Hope tomorrow's even better. And take care, everybody.